Designing an effective protection against rainfall for Plyers residing in Intramuros by Ashley Abigail Case. To give an overview to the flow of this presentation, here is the outline. Introduction, statement of the problem, objective, scope and limitations, conceptual framework, design synthesis, concept and development, then lastly, the final design. Introduction. This is an aerial view of Intramuros. And inside Intramuros are schools, churches, offices, dormitories, residential areas, and tourist spots. That is a lot. In fact, according to the Intramuros administration, 3.7 million visited in 2019. That is equivalent to 1,200 to 1,300 tourists visiting each day. Intramuros currently has three modes of transportation: the Kalesa, the e-trike, and the pedicab. In this presentation, we are going to focus on the pedicab. The word Plyer will often be mentioned in this presentation. Plyers refers to drivers. Statement of the problem. What is available? What are the Plyers using as protections? These are the three types of protection that the Plyers are using. The first is a common type of modern foldable umbrella. The second is the automatic type. They're both made out of polyester shafts with microfiber fabric canopy. They're both affordable, but it only lasts for a few months. The third photo is the welded roof that is recommended by the Intramuros administration. It has to be welded. It is durable, but it still lacks. This is a data from the survey I conducted with the Plyers. This question is important because it helped us determine if the study is relevant. The data shows that 85% of the Plyers gets flu during the rainy season. The other 5% had tuberculosis, 5% gets muscle pain, and the remaining 5% got mild stroke, who then just decided not to drive anymore. By understanding the problems of these Plyers and considering the challenges and effects, we can produce an effective and necessary protection for them. Objective. In front of you are the list of objectives for the study. First is to analyze the responses from the gathered data. The next is to find out the problems that they encounter with the existing products that they use. And then basing it on the results from the two items above, we can now come up with a mock-up. And then comes next is identifying if there is to be developed in the existing products, and then we can incorporate it. Lastly, the final design should be cost-effective. Scope and limitations. This study will focus on developing a solution to the problem of the Plyers operating in Intramuros, Manila. It will tackle the existing protection that the Plyers use at the present time and should consider the standards of the Intramuros administration regarding the pedicabs. It will include how the Plyers body react to their frequent behavior, considering the weather and the average number of passengers they get daily. This will be conducted through interviewing the Plyers of Intramuros. This study is limited only to the said procedure. It will only cover the generation of the protection for the Plyers of Intramuros. Its limitations are those events, things, etc. that are outside the scope of the study. Conceptual framework. The conceptual framework flow would start off with the initial research. It is deciding what situation to target and begin a study with. Next is the identification of issues. It is going to the field, study the user in their workplace, take note of the observations, and focus on the problem of what the product has so we can improve it. Next is the secondary research. It is the part where you crunch the data. And then next is the identification of research method. Looking for the pros, cons of the existing products, conduct an interview, provide key questions, and in this case we used qualitative ethnographic method. And then after that, we can now go ahead and do the analyzing of the data gathered, and then proceed with the design parameters, conceptualize, concept development, and then lastly, the final design. Design synthesis. We have three design parameters. First one would be ergonomics. The product must follow a human factor guide, so the product would be easy to access when it is needed to be used. It should also not be too near or too far, too high or low, and should not be interrupting the side of the plier. That is important. Next would be the function. It must be able to rotate or slide without any complications for the plier. And the components and how it must be manipulated should be obvious. Lastly is the aesthetics. The protection must be clear, and the form should complement the pedicab. The water droplets must easily roll down the shield so it will not interrupt the vision of the plier, and it also should not fog. Next is the concept and development. In front of you is the compilation of concepts, and in the following slides, I will be showing them one by one. So this is the first concept. It has a sliding feature, and you can position it like this when not in use. Second concept has rail, and the acrylic is clamped. It can be slid down. The third is stackable. It's simple. The next concept is simple. It can be tilted, and it's basically just a clip or clamp with an acrylic. The next one is just an acrylic, and it is formed on a certain way to serve the purpose. Next is seashell inspired. It has a hydrophobic fabric, and it can be folded like this when you don't need to use it. Next is a stainless steel with a foldable plastic sheet. And the next one has almost the same form, but this one has a fixed acrylic sheet. This concept is adjustable. The acrylic is bent. It is connected to the welded roof. And lastly, this is a concept that has rails as well, and you can slide the acrylic from your side to your front. This is a consumer required feature analysis. Above the table are sketches that are numbered accordingly based on what was done first. This is to show the ideation of design flow. Below the concept is the table containing the features that I considered and were scored based on how each concept is possessing each feature, 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest. The features are analyzed based on the top requirements of the target market, based on the survey and observations. It shows that among 10 concepts, the design that possesses all 5 features the most is concept number 5. It got a score of 115. Now we have to develop the concept. And here is the development. So this is very similar from the concept. I just added the detail. I added a circular rod that will make the acrylic be tilted. Then I thought we should reduce the consumption of material through making the design sleeker. I added a long steel rod and two clips will be inserted on both sides. So this one is similar from the other development, but I changed the form. So I tried to reduce more material consumption. I came up with a single clip type of design, and it also has a bent circular rod just like the first one. And then lastly, I used a smaller rod for this, and then they're apart. This is the consumer required feature analysis, and we considered sustainability, durability, look, design, and price. And as we can see, number 2 got the highest. Design brief. The visor is designed to keep pedicab pliers protected from the rainfall. It mainly shields the upper front part of the body. The visor being an innovative design, the users will be able to work comfortably, which will make their productivity better even during rainy season. An increased productivity means an increased profit as well. The design's purpose is to lessen the probable chance of getting ill due to working while raining. The materials that were used and the overall design is optimized in its maximum to offer the product at an affordable price for the target market. Let's take a look at the features. The design can be folded when not in need. The visor is safely clipped and locked with pins. The visor is anti-fog. The visor is hydrophobic, and it can be attached to an existing welded roof. Final design. Here is a front and back view. A closer look on the clip and the pins. Here's an exploded view to have a visualization on how it is assembled. A closer look. The pins are the ones that keep the acrylic in position. Here is a closer look. Here is a short animation. So here is an animation of the visor attached onto the roof and then the roof attached onto the pedicab with the person on it to show how it would look like if the visor is tilted when you're not going to use it. Yeah. Next is the product operation. These are the components of the products. We have the head hex drive screw and the nut, the clips, and then the pin locks, the male and the female, and the clamp. You have two types of clamps, the screw and the nut clamp. Here is the visor. It is 2 millimeters thick. And this is how you attach the clamp onto the roof. And in this photo, I am using a 2 mm drive alley, and I'm using it to tighten the screws. After making sure that the clamp is already in place, we then now have to attach the acrylic, and then after that, the pins. This is how it should look like when you're done. And I had to 3D print the components a couple of times before I got the right details. Product in use. Technical drawings. Here is an orthographic view of the product, and the upper right is the isometric view. And here are the components. We have two head hex drive screw, we have two head hex nut, two pin lock female, two pin lock male, two clips, one screw clamp, and one clamp, not clamp. And this is the exploded view. Here is the costing table. We have item, quantity, price, and total. For the item, we got acrylic 2 mm thick, stainless steel rod, screw, nut, hydrophobic coating, anti-fog agent, 3D print plastic components. Here are their quantities and their totals. And then for the labor requirements, we had to use the laser cutting machine. Took us 1 minute to cut the whole acrylic, and then it's 20 pesos per minute. It's a total of 1,200 per hour. And then for the bending and labor, that's 5 minutes. That is 10 pesos per minute. That's a total of 600 per hour. In total, that's overall a 912 pesos.